Jimmy McGill's biggest con never happened in a courtroom. He ran it on himself. Saul Goodman looked like freedom, but every time Jimmy used that name, he moved closer to Chuck's verdict that he could never change. Success did not pull Jimmy out. It buried him deeper. So what changes if therapy helps him hear Chuck's voice as a judgment, not a destiny? Jimmy was never innocent. He knew how to scam people, bend rules, and invent excuses after the damage was done. But he also spent years trying to live differently. He worked in the mailroom, earned a law degree, and survived on small cases. More than money, he wanted Chuck to see him as a real lawyer, capable of change. Chuck never believed it. To him, Jimmy was still a con man in a better suit. Jimmy hated that judgment, but eventually turned it into an identity. If nobody accepts Jimmy McGill, Saul Goodman will give them what they expect. Psychology calls this experiential avoidance, organizing your life around not having to feel something painful. Jimmy feels shame, so he jokes. He feels rejected, so he runs a scheme. He feels guilty, so he turns the problem into a legal puzzle. As long as he is persuading someone, he doesn't have to feel grief, failure, or worthlessness. Chuck's death created a moment when that cycle might have broken. When Howard blamed himself, Jimmy let him carry the burden. At his reinstatement hearing, he turned Chuck's memory into a powerful argument. Kim believed the emotion was real. Outside, he revealed that it had been a performance and announced that he would practice as Saul Goodman. Jimmy didn't prove Chuck wrong. He escaped Chuck's judgment by moving inside it. His relationship with Kim reinforced the pattern. Scamming made them feel close and alive, but their bond began to rely on shared adrenaline instead of honest intimacy. The campaign against Howard filled something missing between them. Howard died, Kim left, and Saul became a full-time shelter from everything Jimmy refused to feel. So what could therapy realistically do? After Chuck's death, Jimmy would probably turn the first sessions into a performance. He would charm the therapist, redirect every question, and explain why Chuck was impossible. If the therapist quickly called him manipulative, he would hear another version of Chuck and leave. A better question would be, are you trying to prove Chuck was wrong, or are you building the life that proves him right? Therapy wouldn't instantly make Jimmy honest or rule-bound. The first target would be smaller. Before the next major performance, tell one truth he's hiding. He could say to Kim, "When Chuck died, I wasn't only sad. Part of me felt relieved, and I'm ashamed of that." That sentence wouldn't erase his past, but it would let Jimmy share the shame instead of hiding it behind a new identity. He might still use Saul as a business name. The difference is he could pause before allowing the brand to become his entire personality. The short-term cost would be real. He might earn less, face harder boundaries from Kim, and want to quit therapy. In the medium term, the Howard scheme might never begin or stop before becoming irreversible. Kim wouldn't be guaranteed to stay, but their relationship wouldn't have to end after a death and a massive lie. Long-term, Jimmy could remain flashy, clever, and willing to test limits. Therapy wouldn't erase his humor or ambition. It could help him stop treating every rejection as proof that Saul is his only identity. He might avoid going so deep into cartel work, refuse Walter White, or leave earlier. He could be less wealthy, but still living under his own name. In the finale, Jimmy finally makes that choice. He gives up a better deal, accepts his responsibility, and stops using Saul as a perfect defense. He becomes Jimmy McGill again. Therapy couldn't guarantee that transformation, but it might help him make it years earlier, before the price was a prison cell. Chuck believed Jimmy could never change. The deeper question is when Jimmy started believing him. This was a fictional, clinically informed interpretation, not a diagnosis, but a way to read the story through psychology. Was Chuck right about Jimmy, or did his judgment help push Jimmy into becoming Saul Goodman? Leave your answer below. subscribe, and suggest who should enter therapy next.